Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I've got Nat with me, who is a Bitcoin expert. She helps run a company called Travel by Bit, which we're going to get into all of that in a bit, but I know that you guys are really interested in crypto and Bitcoin and what it is and all the hype and all the money people have made, so I thought I would get her on and she can explain everything much better than I could.
Probably about mid last year, I found out about cryptocurrency and realized that, there's a new financial future ahead of us that involves the blockchain and the underpinning technology behind it, which is really fascinating. So I researched it more, and then I bought some Bitcoin, and that investment actually went really well because later in 2017 it actually boomed. So I've been interested in it ever since and have just sort of been head down, bum up, looking at all the news, looking at charts, trends, learning as much as I possibly can about it, and here I am today.
Awesome, cool. And so let's start right at the beginning.
So Bitcoin is a digital currency. It was the first one that was formed by Satoshi Nakamoto, and it runs off the blockchain. So it's 100% decentralized. It's not controlled by banks, government institutions. Blockchain is a public ledger, so anyone can see transactions in there, which makes it easier to sort of stamp out any potential fraud. It actually makes it better.
So when I buy a Bitcoin, I get kind of sent a copy of all the transactions ever made, and then when some people I don't even know send each other a Bitcoin, it gets added to my copy of the transactions. So I can be like, yeah, that really happened, they didn't steal it, it was like an agreement, rather than just a $10 bill where it kind of has nobody's name on. Is that right?
Yeah, that's completely correct. So every transaction that's made on the blockchain using Bitcoin or any other digital currency is 100% traced. So you can see the origin of where that money comes from, you can see where it's going, and you can see it's like a really huge history of where that money's been going. Like, it's amazing.
So is that not a problem for anonymity?
But it doesn't really matter at the end of the day because there's no names or identities within that wallet. So
you just have like a really long string of code and no one really knows who it is.
Yes. Bitcoin is cryptocurrency, but I think that Bitcoin, because it's like blue chip and the first to market and the first type of cryptocurrency that people were using, I think it's got more prominence out there.
Right.
But lately we've seen so many more coins enter the market, like Ethereum, Litecoin, Dash, Monero. There's so many more that have entered the market, and they're all cryptocurrencies, but they all do different things. So Bitcoin is considered gold, and Litecoin, for example, is considered silver. So when you're conducting small purchases, transactions, you can use things like Litecoin and Dash, and they'll go through really, really quickly. And when you're using things like Bitcoin, it can take a little bit of time.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So Bitcoin's kind of the big household name, but there's a lot of others that have different advantages.
Correct. Well, I may be a little bit biased, but Litecoin is definitely my favorite because it's just so easy to use.
Okay.
Dash is probably the second favorite. But when we look at the statistics and we drill down of, the most commonly used coin, it is Bitcoin.
Okay. That's kind of the big name, isn't it? But I guess it's got a lot of flaws that stuff like Dash and Litecoin help with because they're faster or they have different advantages.
Yeah, definitely. And it's about the fees as well. So some people may hold all of those coins that we accept, and they will basically choose to use the one with the lowest fees on that day.
Right.
Okay, there are a few places you can go. Look, if you're really into it and you've got the research there and the backing behind you and the money to do it, you could set up a mining hub and mine Bitcoin. Otherwise, you can go onto a local exchange. There are a few trusted exchanges out there that we do back and just simply purchase it. Okay.
So you would Google buy Bitcoin in England and it would recommend a particular Bitcoin website that you can buy on, and you just put in your credit card details and buy it on there?
Yep, you can. You can definitely do that. And I've seen there's an emergence here in Queensland of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency ATMs. So if you do see one pop up in your city and you want to buy, you can definitely buy from those machines using a card or cash. But yeah, if someone did want to buy it online, there are a few trusted exchanges, Binance, Bittrex, Coinbase is one of them, but when you're looking into these exchanges, you've got to look at the pros and cons. So a lot of them will differ in terms of fees, in terms of
Okay.
you know how fast they get the money to you, in terms of verifying your account using your ID. There are so many things that you sort of need to do in order to get that through.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll link to some in the description depending on which country you're from.
Okay, so as soon as you do purchase, you want to be able to put that in a wallet. So a lot of people, when they purchase, they set up an account with the exchange and they can hold it in the exchange. However, for security purposes, I personally use a wallet and a hard wallet. So you have a digital wallet that you can use on your phone, on your handheld device. There are some wallets that you can use and store on your desktop, but for security reasons, it's really crucial to have a hardware wallet as well. So that just makes it a little bit more safer when it comes to protecting your cryptocurrency. Okay,
so you can just let the website look after it, but if you do that, they might lose it or someone might steal it, whereas if you have it in your home, then it's safer.
Yeah, look, it's highly unlikely that you know, an exchange would get taken out and you know all your funds would get taken out. It has happened before. It doesn't happen every single day.
Yeah.
You know, banks, they get hacked all
totally.
the time. Credit cards get you know,
duplicated
all the time, you know, subject to fraud. So these things do happen, but in order to prevent that, it's good to have, you know, those security measures in place, like two-step verification, fingerprint verification on your wallets on your phone and your devices, and the hardware wallet as well, which is quite secure. There are merchants here in Queensland that are accepting Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies as a format of payment. So here in Brisbane, you can use it at cafes, restaurants, you can use it at tourism spots. You can use Bitcoin to transact online. There are a lot of e-commerce stores that are coming up. So in 2009, when it all sort of rolled out and started, there was only a minimal amount of things that you could sort of spend Bitcoin and cryptocurrency on. But now that merchants and people are starting to become really aware of the function and aware of it's all happening, they're starting to come on board and adoption is increasing rapidly.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so you help shops and restaurants and kind of big things like that be able to accept Bitcoin, but also some other ones?
Dash, Litecoin, and Ethereum at the moment, and we are going to be integrating more coins into the payment system. And we're actually getting a high volume of people from overseas, like internationally, inquiring with us about how they can set up travel routes and little escapes and holidays and pay 100% with Bitcoins. Yeah, the demand is there. So I guess this is a snapshot of really what's to come. What's it going to do for the rest of Australia and the world?
So what's kind of the most exciting win you've had with Travel by Bit at the moment?
They have engaged Brisbane Airport right here in Australia, the first ever airport to become cryptocurrency friendly. So
that's crazy.
It is absolutely crazy. It is a world first. No one else in the world is working on activating an entire airport to accept cryptocurrency in the news agents, the little convenience stores and stuff like that you see at airports. And eventually we will look at, activating 100% of the airport. So,
well, like the airlines?
We are in talks with a few airlines at the moment. I can't say too much more than that. So it is happening. The truth is anyone can make a cryptocurrency. It requires a lot of work, and a lot of people think that they need to hire a cryptographer in order to do it when there's actually blockchain systems that are open and set up for people to do that.
Okay.
I know with the NEM Foundation's blockchain, people can set an ICO up in 3 minutes.
Okay. And so what is an ICO?
So it's an initial coin offering.
Okay.
So people will put together a coin for a community or a specific industry to use, and they'll release it to market. And if people buy in and it's got a high demand, then it'll spike the prices. A lot of it is speculative. So when you're looking at ICOs or investing in an ICO, you've got to look at the reasons why they've sort of set it up. Are they legitimately solving a problem?
Right.
Like Bee Token, they're on the scene to provide provenance for honey.
Cool.
And when you look at it, you look at the project team who's involved. You know, what do they do? What's their responsibilities? How much have they invested in this? And you look at the blockchain that they're operating on as well. Is it a solid, stable blockchain that they're hosting this ICO from?
Right.
Has it had any problems in the past? Is their dev team sort of onto it, fixing any problems that do come up, like any glitches, things like that? And you've also got to look at the probability of that ICO operating in future for 10 years, you know, for 20 years. Yeah, so there's all sorts of things that you need to look at, including a white paper. So, you know, white papers can go anywhere from like a couple of pages to like over 100 pages. I've seen some that go for over 100 pages, which is a lot of information to sort of analyze, assess, and make a decision on. But these are absolutely crucial to informing you about that ICO and that coin and whether or not to invest in it.
Right. So when you buy into an ICO, it's like buying shares in a company, but rather than selling shares, they just sell their cryptocurrency. So you should consider it the same as you would look at if a company you were buying shares in. You would look at their founder and what their business does and kind of assess it really properly before you buy one.
Yeah, definitely. Look, you can. There are a lot of people out there that do that. A lot of new investors do it. And I think a lot of people do it because they've heard the stories of, you know, the person that, you know, bought a few Bitcoins for a couple of cents each and are now, you know, multimillionaires, billionaires.
Yeah.
I think that day and age has kind of, I don't like to say been and gone. Like there are going to be some ICOs out there with some real substance behind them where that could happen again. But you've got to be onto the charts. You've got to be, you know, looking at what's happening in the company, what's driving spikes, what's driving peaks, what's driving, you know, the downturn. People can hold long term, but I think it's also useful to know when to pull out.
Like we were saying, it's like investing in a company. So if you invest in some like nobody company when they just begin, you can make a massive return if you like picked a good one, but it's also an easy way to lose your money as well. And then similarly, you can invest in like Apple or some of the big companies, which I guess would be like Bitcoin, and it will go up, but probably slower. So I guess it just depends how much risk you want to take. I think it's best if people just consider it just the same as the stock market. I suppose if they want to treat it as an investment, there's high risk and low risk and slightly guaranteed and not at all guaranteed.
Yeah, that's right. And I think it's important to do like risk profile as well because that shows you how much risk you're willing to take when it comes to investments and making money and things like that. You know, a lot of the property investments that are happening these days, a lot of property is like so expensive for young people to get into, right? So they can't afford to do that. Stocks, if you're going for blue chip, like, you know, stocks, they're expensive as well. So if you're a person that's in a position to invest, cryptocurrency it's a good one for you because you can get in quite cheaply.
Right.
And then hold and, you know, see what happens. There is the instance that you may lose everything overnight. I mean, stock exchanges lose things overnight as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
When values fall incredibly and people are left with nothing. So it's really important to know your attitude to risk, and affordability is key as well. So if you're comfortable investing in something knowing that you may lose everything and it's not going to impact your ability to service, you know, your lifestyle and your own personal economy, then fine, go for it.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to lose anything, then it's probably not a good place for you. I think that changes every day.
Yeah.
You know, if you would have asked that question about 6 months ago, I would have been like, yeah, Bitcoin all the way. You know, Bitcoin's blue chip. I'm not veering off from that. But in my honest opinion, there are a lot of really good coins out there that have so much traction, so much substance behind it. They're solving really good problems and they're in the industry for, you know, a long-term amount of time. One of my personal favorites is, like, I'm really biased. I like Litecoin and Dash because they're just so fast. They're so easy to deal with, and the wallets that support them are really great as well. Okay. But I am a really big fan of Zem. So it's called XEM. Okay. And they operate off the NEM blockchain, and the NEM blockchain seems to be really quite solid. There's a lot of thought put into it. There's a lot of functionality that goes beyond the currency. Like, you can store documents, you can create an ICO, you can conduct digital voting, which I've been praying for a lifetime, because when it comes to elections in Australia, I really want to be alive to see the day when we can vote digitally online.
Yeah.
And go from there. So
yeah,
that's probably my favorite. Yeah.
Cool. It feels like so much exciting stuff is going to come, and it's not just about the money, like you said. It's about being able to vote or micropayments in other countries, and there's lots of like really exciting technology coming up that we just have to work out how it's going to be used. In fact, one of our friends did a ICO where you have to pay a tiny amount to be able to send someone an email if you're not like on their address book, I guess. So it's kind of for spam. So like I don't mind receiving spam if I'm getting paid a little bit for it. And there's so many like other applications like that that aren't just about using it as a stock market or using it to make money. So
yeah,
feels like it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I'm just like so happy to be alive because knowing that there's a different like, you know, financial future ahead of us.
Well, thank you so much. That was super interesting. I hope that's given you guys a bit of an introduction to what Bitcoin is, what cryptocurrency is, how you get it, how you keep it without losing it. Yeah, that was super helpful. And congrats with Travel by Bit. It sounds like it's going really, really well.
Yay.
Yay.
Thank you very much.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will include links to everything that we talked about, including Travel by Bit, in the description box. And I will see you guys in next week's video. Bye.